Mandukya Karika, the last talk. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuyama Deva Bhadram Pashe Makshabhirya Jatra Sthirairangaye Stustuvagum Sastanuhi Vishema Deva Hitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashrava Swasti na Pusha Vishwaveda Swasti nastakshyo Arishtanemi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. So, I welcome you all to the last talk on Mandukya Karika. I think this is talk number 59 or something like that. In the previous talk, we had mentioned the waking state and the dream state, and it was said that waking state deals with objects and dream only with ideas. And hence, dream state is superior to the waking state because your illusion is less depending on how deluded you are. Determines what is a worse state. So normally we think that waking state is superior, but Mandukya Karika shows how waking state is inferior. So naturally, when you go to the third state, Shushupti, deep sleep, where even the ideas vanish and it becomes a mass of ignorance. So you have three. One, consciousness of objects, consciousness of ideas, and consciousness of ignorance. Because when you come out, you say that, oh, how wonderfully I slept. I knew nothing. Every time you say I knew nothing, you're basically talking about your ignorance. And then there is the fourth state, which is mass of knowledge. So there is mass of knowledge, then there is mass of ignorance, then there are only ideas, and then there are the objects. Vedanta lays a lot of stress on knowing these three states because once you have understood these three states, waking, dream, and deep sleep, it automatically helps you focus on the fourth, Turiya. So we begin with verse number 88. Avastvanupalambham cha lokotaram iti smrdham jnanam geyam cha vigyeyam sada buddhai prakirtitam. The wise recognize another state that is compared to the waking and dream. Uh, this is says in which there exists neither objects nor ideas regarding them. The state is beyond all empirical experiences. You experience neither the object nor the ideas. They describe the three: the knowledge, the objects of knowledge. There's the three states and the supremely knowable, that is the ultimate reality. So there are three things to be known. As far as Vedanta is concerned, just now we mentioned how in Vedanta these three play a very important role. The three states, and says Jnanam Geyam cha Bigeyam. Jnana is knowledge. Knowledge of what? Of three states. Geya. Geya means object. Object of knowledge. So what should be your object of knowledge? The three states. And Vigeyam, that we should be known specially. What is that? Turiya. I knew of a very great monk in Uttarakhand. He was not from the Ramakrishna mission. So once while talking to some of my senior monks, he had mentioned that I have read only one book in my life, and that is the three states. Not the book, actually, three states of his own mind. Said, if there is anything to be read in this world, it's the three states of your own mind. So, Gyan is knowledge. Gya is the object of knowledge. What is to be studied? What is to be read? Your three states of existence. And what is Vigaya? Which is beyond these three. So, if you can remember your take from today's class, there are three things: Jnana, Gyeya, Vigyeya. Knowledge of what? Three states. And beyond this knowledge in three states is Vigyeya, that which is to be known, really. And it's through these three that the fourth is known. And with this, we'll begin a discussion on Turiya, the fourth. So just remember, although we have mentioned it earlier too, these three states, that is waking, dream, and dreamless, deep sleep, these three states are characterized by the thrice division of Gyata, Gyeya, Gyan. There is a knower, there is knowledge, and there is object of knowledge. Even when you are in deep sleep and you come out of it, these three continue. You say, I slept peacefully. So the object is there, which is which is susupti, and knowledge of it is concerned, and you are concerned. In the fourth turiya, there is no gyata, there is no gyan, there is no gyeya. All three become one. Knower is the known, and that which is known is knowledge. Oh, I tell you, these are really profound, very profound, and yet very simple. Subject, object, and the relationship, the verb, the action, they all merge into one. That is the state that we all aspire for. Uh, When Bhagwan Buddha was talking about nirvana, he was talking about this, where all three become one. Advaita talks about one. Even our Dvaita and Vishishta Dvaita, when they're talking about merging into God, they're talking about that only. So says, outside that, there is nothing to be known. When we say Gyata, Gyeya, Gyan, it's all about three states, not about God realization. The fourth one is where these three merge. So, actually, we have discussed these things so many times earlier that we don't need to elaborate. I hope the idea is clear. I'm keeping the chat open. In case you find any difficulty understanding, just please mark, and I request you not to disturb the class. Just remember, according to Mandukya Karika, there is this division of the three, Gyata, Gyeya, Gyan. But this Gyata, Gyeya, Gyan is actually about waking state, dream state, and dreamless. Whatever your knowledge, it pertains to these three. But when it comes to Vigyeya, Atman, Turiya, these three merge into one. Once you have understood that all your knowledge, all your activities pertain to these three states, you are now ready for the fourth. ज्ञाने च त्रिविधे गेये क्रमेण विदिते स्वयं सर्वज्ञता सर्वत्र भवति यह महाधियः. Having known knowledge and the threefold knowable, one after another, the knower endowed with supreme intellect attains in this very life and everywhere the state of omniscience. It's beautiful thing. That jnana, knowledge, is of three kinds: waking, dream, deep sleep. Once you have understood this, all my knowledge pertains to these three. And naturally, you will have three different kinds of knower. One is the knower which is in the waking state, one who is in the dream, and another who is in the deep sleep. And the object, three different kinds of objects. So, once you realize these three states, these three knowers, actually, normally we think that we have changed, but actually, you don't change. The you of the waking, the you of the dream, and the you of susupti, it's all one. It's only the initially you think that, well, I had become this in dream, I had become this, and I became ignorant, I become all these things. You seem as if, it seems as if I is changing, but I doesn't change. if you analyze. And once you have understood, and if your intellect is sharp enough, they will be talking more about it. Once you realize the truth about these three and you get rid of it, say that no, I don't want any of these three states, then you get established in self knowledge, omniscience. Because it's the Atman which pervades everything. It's the Atman which appears in the waking state. It's the Atman that appears in the dream state and in the deep sleep. So, says, Acharya Shankara says very beautifully that whom do you call an intelligent person? Who can grasp things very fast and who has knowledge of many things. Whom do we call scholar? One who knows many things. And one who knows all the three states and sitting in the fourth, naturally is Sarvagya, because there is nothing else left for him to be known. Now, very often, Sarvagya people think that they will be knowing about this small thing, that small. No, no, no. Sarvagya means they know the three states because there is nothing else to be known. Now, Prasenjit Chakravarti, when we are discussing a book, we are discussing a book. Now, we cannot go on how and why. If you are a good student and if you are a good listener, always focus on listening to what is being said. Don't keep on running from this topic to that topic. See, when a topic is on, the topic is on. Should not expect a teacher to be moving from this topic to that topic. Only when you have studied a subject well, that you should be asking question, that too on that particular subject. Sarvagya, Sarvagyata hi sarvatra. He becomes a Sarvagya. Sarvagya is a very beautiful term used in Advaita Vedanta. Sarvagya, it doesn't mean that he will know how much money you have. He will not know how many houses you have. Probably he may have, but that belongs to Siddhi. That has nothing to do with Sarvagyata. Sarvagyata means one who has known the three states of existence. And he knows the knowledge related to those three. And he knows that the I does not change in these three. He has known everything. He may not know physics, chemistry, like Sri Ramakrishna did not know physics, chemistry, etc. But he was a Sarvagya. And because his grasp of knowledge has extended to these three states, just like a scholar whose sphere of knowledge is huge, the sphere of knowledge of such persons is huge. A person established in self-knowledge, he knows the three states, being established in the fourth. Unless you are established in the fourth, you cannot know the three. And then the greatest achievement by such a person is that he never loses that knowledge. Because see, whenever we gain some knowledge, there's a possibility of ours losing that too. Informations are readily lost, even knowledge is lost. But once you get established in the knowledge of the self, that knowledge will never go away. It will always remain there. You have known the truth. So, then, there is a very interesting verse number 90. There are certain things for every Vedantin to realize, to know. So, Mr. Prasenjit Chakravarti, if you are listening, says, Heya, Geya, Apya, Pakyani. Vigyeya anya agrayanatah. Tesham anyatra vigyayat upalambas trishu smrtah. One should be conversant at the very outset. Like if you want to study Vedanta, you need to have four things. Anyone who wants to understand Vedanta, first is Heya, second is Geya, third is Praptabhya, and last is Prashamaniya. In English, translated becomes first is things to be avoided, things that you need to avoid. Heya. Second is the goal to be realized. Geya. And disciplines to be cultivated. What disciplines you need to do? And the tendencies to be rendered ineffective. We have certain tendencies, they need to be subdued. Say, it's a very simple thing. Miss Priyanka, if you can write down from your Sanskrit four terms, they are beautiful. Heya, Gyeya, Apya, Pakya. If you can write in Sanskrit, Heya, Gyeya, Apya, Pakya. These are the four things, if you can remember. These are four essential things that everyone needs to practice during Vedanta sadhana. Heya. He is the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. They need to be discarded. Don't focus on any of these three, neither on the waking, nor on the dream, nor on the deep sleep. You have to remember that these are just three states. The way you mistake a snake in a rope. And Paramartha Tattva, Atma, that alone is Gyeya, which was mentioned as Vigyeya, to differentiate from the knowledge of the three states. Only thing that you need to focus is the self, Atman. And once you want to go into the knowledge of Vedanta, once you want to go into the knowledge of Atman, every Aishana has to be given up. Every desire has to be given up. Only three things are to be kept. Three. And the terms are Panditya, Balya, Mauna. These are the three essential qualities. If somebody could please write it there in the comment. Three things. Pandit is scholarship. You must have a thorough scholarship of Ved and Vedanta. You must know scriptures very well. Now, people who think that they can just acquire Vedantic knowledge by listening to this talk or reading one book, no, it's not possible. You have to have scholarship. And second is Balya. Now, Balya actually comes from Bal. Bal means inquisitiveness, like a kid. Kid is very curious. Kid is highly inquisitive. Spontaneity. Basically, there has to be a spontaneity. Should be hiding anything. Spontaneity. This is also about inquisitiveness. Inquisitive about Paramatma Gyan. Like uh, Einstein had very famously said that I do not have any special talents. I'm just immensely curious. It's Balya. Spontaneity. You want to go for it. And lastly, Mauna. Don't talk unnecessarily. These are the only things that you need to retain. Everything else has to go away. You need to focus on the scriptures that talk about Atman. You need to be spontaneous, always ready for it, curious to know about Paramatman. And lastly, silence. Silence of everything. Silent in your speech, silent in your actions. So these are the only things that are praptabhya. These are the three things that take you forward. Panditya, thank you, Dr. Seema. Panditya, Balya, Maunam. Pandit is scholarship. Bali is spontaneity. Curiosity regarding Atman. Spontaneity is a better word. Shankaracharya has described it as, oh no, he has not described, but further commentators have described it as spontaneity. So And there are certain things that need to be loosened. They are rag, dvesh, attachment, aversion. Attachment, aversion cannot go. Very often people talk about how to overcome my weakness. No, you cannot overcome your weakness, but you can lessen it. The bonds of attachment, aversion, likes, dislikes, love, hatred, these things cannot go away. You need to loosen it. You need to loosen it so that these emotions do not sway you away. So, anyone who wants to do Vedantic sadhana has to have these four things: heya, gyeya, apya, pakya. You need to get rid of certain things completely. You need to know what is to be known. You need to have certain basic qualities like panditya, balya, mauna. And you need to lessen the bonds of attachment, aversion, etc. Once, once you focus on these things, you are now ready for the great journey. So all these discussions and arguments and counter arguments, they're all over. Mandukya Karika is now leading you towards supreme realization. Concluding verses begin प्रकृत्याकाशवद्गेया सर्वे धर्मा अनादय विद्यते नहीं नानात्वम तेषां क्वचन किंचन. This verse number 91 says, all Atmans. Interestingly, although it's talking about Atman only, but it says all Atman dharmas are to be known by their very nature to be beginningless and unattached like Akash. There is not the slightest variety in there in any way or at any time. Interestingly, the word used here is Akash in plural, but it clarifies that actually it's all one, beginningless. It's all beginningless, and there is not the slightest variety. It's all same. We feel that souls are different, but Mandukya just makes clear that no. Atman, although they appear to be different, they're one, beginningless, and there is not the slightest variety. When he says, Vidyate nahi nanatvam tesham kwachan kinchana, there is under no condition any kind of multiplicity there. It's all same, it's all one. Those of you who have studied Gita, and we have Gita talks in the playlist, you'll find this idea coming repeatedly. At times, Gita will be talking as if there are multiple souls, and then it will switch over to oneness. And then anyone with the very simple intellect can make out multiplicity of souls, multiplicity of Atman, multiplicity of Jiva is upachara matra. It is to make us understand certain things. In reality, multiplicity cannot be there because oneness is also talked about. When you say that there are many and actually they are one, it automatically implies that one is the truth, multiplicity is appearance. Because other way it's not possible. You cannot have multiplicity as the truth and oneness as appearance. No, it's not possible. That was verse number 91, 92. Adi buddha prakrityeva sarve dharma sunishita yasyevam bhavati kshanti so mritatvaya kalpate. This expression, so amritatvaya kalpate, he becomes capable of attaining self-knowledge. Who? Who becomes capable of attaining self-knowledge? All jivas, that means me, you, like Swamiji says, each soul is potentially divine. Are there multiple souls? No, there are not. But from the standpoint of this relative world, we say each soul, many souls. So it says all jivas are by their very nature illumined from the very beginning. As Swamiji says, each soul is potentially divine. You're already divine. It's covered. And this is what it says. From the very beginning, it's not that you have to acquire. It's not that something you have to acquire. In bhakti, if you take the path of bhakti, you have to acquire bhakti. In, in this world, you have to acquire something. But in the path of knowledge, you don't have to acquire anything because you are already that. Sorry. So, all jivas, by their very nature, illumined from the very beginning. There can never be any doubt about their nature. He who, having known this, rests without seeking further knowledge, alone capable of attaining immortality. Once you realize that all knowledge is within me, you don't go on running after this knowledge and that knowledge. As far as supreme knowledge is concerned, in Raj Yoga also, there is a discussion on this. As you proceed in sadhana, a time comes when you realize that you don't need to read anything anymore. And then you reach Dharma Mega Samadhi, where all knowledge is ready. Any minute, it may start pouring down. Surprising that different systems of thought, they talk about the same thing. All knowledge is within you. And because all knowledge is within you, why should we be running after this and that? We run after this and that simply because we think we are ignorant. So, as I mentioned, the monk at Haridwar, who told that he has read only one book, and that's of the three states. That's the only thing to be known. That's the only thing worth knowing. Adi Buddha, Prakriti eva sarve, dharma, sunishchita. All the jivas have all the knowledge. Once you realize this, become calm. You don't keep on running after anything, not even after knowledge. Only then you are ready for Atmagyan. Somritatvaya kalpate. He is alone capable of attaining immortality. That means running after wealth, running after the opposite sex, running after fame, these are bad enough. Running after knowledge is also bad enough. Because once you realize, now what we are discussing is highest level of spiritual sadhana. These things are not meant for ordinary people. Once you have some preparation, once you are up and going, you are moving onward, only then this can be done. Adi Shanta, he anutpanna prakrityeva su nirvita sarve dharma samabhinna ajam samyam visharadam. The jivas from the very beginning and by their very nature are all peace, unborn, and completely free. See, all these definitions that you might have read from Swami Vivekananda, all power is within you, all knowledge is within you, everything is within you. And within every soul. First, it talked about knowledge. Now it talks about peace and freedom. We are eternally free. Bal Gangadhar Tilak had said, freedom is your birthright. Indeed, it's, but not freedom from foreign cycles and all, but freedom from the cycle of birth and death. They are characterized by sameness, samatva. There is no difference whatsoever between a Brahman and a Chandal. There is no difference between the soul of a Brahmin and that of a dog. There is no separateness of any kind. You might wonder then, if these are the guiding scriptures, then why Hindus practice so much of discrimination? Because discrimination is practiced at the level of the society. Oneness belongs to spirituality. In the society, there can never be oneness. There will always be kings and ministers and those who carry out their orders. Otherwise, society will go to the ruins. But at the spiritual plane, there is oneness. Those of you who have been listening to our talks might have come across this statement from me many times. We do not talk of different kind of heaven for different class of people. Don't talk about different kind of mukti for different class of people. Oneness belongs to spirituality. The difference will always be there in the social structure. Now, it's for the society to work out how to lessen this difference in the social structure. Sages are not responsible for it. Neither they created it, nor they are responsible for correcting it. It's for the leaders, it's for the king. Now, because this is the nature of Atman, it doesn't even have to strive for freedom because you are already free. Oh, this is too profound. You are already free. What are you striving for? But this is being said from the highest standpoint. So, those who do not understand this, they are the miserly, they are the limited beings. Kripan. वैशारद्यम तु वै नास्ति भेदे विशरतां सदा भेद निम्ना पृथग्वादास तस्मात् ते कृपणा स्मृता. Those who always wander in the realm of separateness cannot realize the purity of Atman. You know, this caste system in India, this is not a product of Advaita. This is a product of Dvaita and Vishishta Dvaita. Because they practice separateness in their religion. If you practice the separateness in philosophy, how can you have oneness in the society? That's why when Swami Vivekananda was talking about India, he was continuously talking about unity and oneness. Why? Because he was established in Advaita. Advaita does not discriminate. What should be the religion of India? Unquestionably Advaita. But the problem is that people cannot grasp it. And that's why we have Vishishta Dvaita and Bhakti and all those things. Because if your outlook, if your religion, your spirituality permits multiplicity, separateness, it will be shown in your social behavior. As we find in Abrahamic religions, the religion is based on separateness. And it shows in society. For them, it's us and them. Advaita doesn't believe in it. Advaita has to be the religion of the future. If you want unity, if you want peace in the world, Advaita has to be, call it by any name. It's a problem of dualists. They practice separateness, and naturally, it's impossible for them to grasp this philosophy of non duality. Verse number 94 says, those who always wander in the realm of separateness, you're always in the world of separateness. You never feel that you are one. You will naturally have this problem, and that's why you are crippled, miserly, narrow minded. Kripan is used in many different senses. One of this name is miserly. Miserly means you're tight fisted, narrow minded. Tight fisted person is narrow minded. And those who are of lesser intellect, those who have limited intellect. They cannot understand Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. They cannot grasp Vedanta. It's not possible for them. अजय साम्ये तु ये केचित् भविष्यन्ति सुनिश्चिता ते हि लोके महाज्ञानस्तच्च लोको न घाहते. They alone in this world are endowed with the highest wisdom who are firm in their conviction of the sameness and birthlessness of Atman. Swami Vivekananda was Swami Vivekananda was so established in this knowledge of Atman, non-separateness. Says highest wisdom. They have the highest wisdom. Surprisingly, you'll find that ethics in India is dictated by Advaita Vedanta. Ethics, mind it. And social practices are dictated by dualism. Unfortunate. In fact, we should have the social system, ethical system, caste system, everything based on Advaita Vedanta. If you read my book, The Hindu Way, it tries to do that. First, you have to know that sameness of Atman. Secondly, birthlessness of Atman. Acharya Shankara says beautifully that normally people discriminate between men and women, male and female. Acharya Shankara says, Kechit striyadyopi sunishchita bhavishanti. You have to know firmly and for sure that there cannot be any kind of discrimination, not even between male and female. Now, you might wonder why Acharya Shankara is using the word female. Because today we are talking of equality of females. But Vedanta has been talking about it for thousands of years, just that there was no listener. And Acharya Shankara used it specifically. Ved says, Tvam Sri Tvam Pumanasi. Oh Lord, you alone are woman, you alone are men. But somehow Hindu religion, that's the problem. And we have so many philosophies, and most of them they are based on separateness. They are based on my God is the superior, supreme God, and everyone else is inferior. All these things. Sameness in religion. Sameness in religion is preached and practiced only by Advaita Vedanta, by no one else. Karika says, they alone are the wise. They alone are the wise who know that there is no distinction whatsoever between man and woman, between this man and that man. You cannot say that this person is inferior and that person is superior. Vedanta does not accept it. It's unfortunate, it's really unfortunate that Vedanta was not made popular in the masses. Very unfortunate. And our lawgivers did not establish these laws based on Vedanta. They went more by separateness. What is society? The battle between separateness and oneness. There are people who are talking about oneness, and there are people who are talking about separateness. Communism became so popular simply because of the political philosophy or whatever philosophy it was of oneness. It's a different matter that they did not succeed. But the idea that there has to be oneness, and Vedanta has been preaching it for thousands of years now. Tehi loke mahajnana taccha loko nagahate. This is so profound that an ordinary person, a common man, cannot even understand the way of the wise. That's why when we criticize the greats, like you will find many people criticizing Shankaracharya. Naturally, they will criticize because you cannot understand their way. They are Too great a person. You'll find people criticizing Swami Vivekananda naturally because you cannot know their way. Acharya Shankar uses one from uh, Mahabharat, Shanti Parva. The way you cannot mark the footprints of a bird in the sky, just like that, you cannot know the way of the wise. Because they're established in equanimity. And that equanimity is born of equality of all souls, non separateness of souls, and birthlessness of souls. It's simply so profound. I mean, these things are not to be studied, these things need to be contemplated upon. Contemplate, and you'll feel blessed. And its implications are wide, wide. Just to think that India could not build its society on the principles of Vedanta. How unfortunate. However, our ethical system was based on Advaita Vedanta. When we say that don't tell lies, it's not because God will be happy, it's not God's command. It's because when you tell lies, you're cheating yourself. Don't hurt anybody. Ahimsa, Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Swami Vivekananda was once asked, why didn't you marry? He said, why should I marry when my goal is knowledge? Beyond. Because marriage automatically implies separateness. It's too profound a thing. These five universal qualities preached by Hindu religion: truth, non-violence, non-stealing, and non-acceptance of gifts, continence. These five are based entirely on Advaita Vedanta. These cannot be explained by religious system that accepts God. You will have to say that God has commanded this way. Why should God be commanding like that? I find these things pretty strange. That's why our Hindu religion is so vast and so complicated. Certain things are coming from Advaita Vedanta, certain things from Dvait, certain things from Vishishta Dvait, and it's whole thing is so mixed that we need to work upon it. अजेषु अजम असंक्रांतम धर्मेषु ज्ञानमिष्यते यतो न क्रमते ज्ञानम असंगम तेन कीर्तितम. Verse number 96. We are coming to an end. Knowledge is the very essence of unborn jivas. Jivas are unborn, they never have any birth. Is itself called unborn. So that knowledge itself is unborn. That knowledge is eternal. Knowledge is never born and unrelated. This knowledge is proclaimed to be unattached since it is unrelated to any other object. Remember, we always think that I gain this knowledge. But when you see it from the standpoint of Atman, there is no relationship between Jiva and knowledge. Why? Because Jiva is knowledge. That which exists is knowledge, Sat Chidananda. That which exists, Sat is Chit. And similarly, that which is Chit is Ananda. And a normal condition, as we mentioned, Gyata, Geya, Jnana. There is a knower, there is an object of knowledge, and there is knowledge that connects the two. Here it is said that Atman has all the knowledge. Does it mean that Atman has acquired that knowledge? Is there some kind of relationship between Atman and knowledge? It says no. Why? Atman is unborn and knowledge is unborn. Atman is knowledge. The way Atman never gets attached to anything of this world. Just like that, knowledge never gets attached to anything of this world. Atman is knowledge. That's why in self knowledge, Atma Gyan, knowledge, knower, object of knowledge, they all become one. And it shows how practice of separateness, that is Jatvad, if you believe in birth, how many problems are there? In fact, there are problems and problems. Whole world is facing problems simply because we believe that we are born, we live, and we will die. Every religion, every religious philosophy, every outlook, everyone, even a child thinks like that, even the elderly thinks like that, even the most wise think like that, excepting Advaita Vedanta. अनुमात्रेपि वैधर्म्ये जायमाने अविपश्चितः असंगता सदा नास्ति किम उता अवर्णच्युतिः. Verse number 97. To those ignorant people who believe that Atman can deviate from its true nature, even in the slightest measure, its eternally unrelated character is lost. Slightest of deviation from its birthlessness, complete knowledge will destroy the entire thing. Whole thing enters. In that case, the destruction of the veil is out of the question. That's why in Visishtadvaita, when it says that Jiva and Ishwar, they are related, like say tree and a leaf, some kind of separateness has come. Some element of birth has come. Whole thing is ruined. The entire system. Believe me, dear listeners, slightest gap, the slightest hairline fracture in philosophy can ruin the entire philosophy. The whole of the every religion, every philosophy, every outlook suffers from this problem. Of course, we don't have time to discuss all that. But if you go back and listen to these talks, you find that we have mentioned once in a while. And if you listen to our Inspired Talk series, there also you'll find these things mentioned. The moment you accept the birth of the souls, in whatever form, even in its purest form, the hairline crack has appeared and it will ruin completely your outlook. And there will be gaps and gaps and gaps. Long ago, when I was a young brahmachari, that means novice, our present day revered President Maharaj, Srimad Swami Samarpanananda, he was teaching us Gyan Yoga. And it was such a fascinating thing because I was too immature to understand Gyan Yoga in those days. And Maharaj, Srimad Swami Samarpanananda Maharaj, he is a great admirer of Mandukya Karika. And in those days, I didn't even know what is Mandukya Karika. So he used to come and teach us Gyan Yoga, whatever little I grasped from there. But I remember one sentence. He said, the weakest link of Advaita Vedanta is Maya. The weakest link. I had asked then, but Maharaj, that makes it extremely dangerous because the strength of the chain is measured by its weakest link. I'd said. And he said, thing is, other systems have many more weak links. It never left me. Believe me, dear listeners, believe me. I was a young novice monk. And that statement from Srimad Swami Samarpanananda Maharaj, present President Maharaj, it never left me in my life. That yes, you cannot make someone understand Maya. It's not possible to make anyone understand Maya. But if you take up some other system, it will have gaping holes, unacceptable. And how did you find Maya? Something that's a statement of fact. You experience it all the time. Why do you need to explain? There's a very famous saying in Hindi, हाथ कंगन को आरसी क्या पढ़े लिखे को फारसी क्या. If you put on a bracelet in your hand, you don't need a mirror. You know it's there. Mirror is used to see reflection of thing which you cannot see yourself. Why do you need a mirror? And in earlier times, people used to read Persian, Farsi. So a person who knows Persian, it's nothing. So just like that, Maya is a statement of why do you need to explain it? Slightest gap. That is, if you believe that Jiva is born in whatever form, whole thing is now ruined. Other than Ajatvad, a philosophy can never be sound. Alabdavarana sarve dharma prakriti nirmala ado buddha stha mukta buddhyanta iti nayaka. We are reaching conclusion. The knowledge of the wise men, all jivas are ever free from bondage and pure by nature. They are illumined and free from the very beginning, yet the wise speak of the jivas as capable of knowing ultimate reality. This is a problem with every religion. This is a problem of every religious thought that accepts separateness of jiva from the supreme being in the slightest. On the one hand, jiva is believed to have all the knowledge, and yet you say that jiva is capable of. How can you say that? What do you mean by it's capable of? It is. All knowledge is within you. All freedom is within you. So what do you mean to say that you are capable of attaining that? For example, when Swamiji says each soul is potentially divine, he was just trying to make us understand. He was not accepting the difference in souls. That's a sad part. The amount of contradiction that is parroted around by every philosophy and religious philosophy is shocking and sickening. Now, persons like Ramanujacharya, such a great person, really great, great. He saved India. Now, these people are extremely intelligent, highly scholarly. Same with Madhvacharya. Now, naturally, they will come up with such questions that we will not be able to answer them. But that does not take away the fact that if there is one single weakness in Advaita, which is Maya, and they attack on that, their own systems have many more fallacies. But it is said that one has realized Atman. It says, Kramate nahi buddhasya jnanam dharmesu tainah sarve dharmas tatha jnanam naitat uddhena bhashitam. The knowledge of the wise man, who is all light, is never related to any object. All the jivas as well as knowledge are ever unrelated to objects. This is this is not that of Buddha. Here it's being contradicted. That Buddhism tries to say certain things, but Gaudapada says, according to Vedanta, uh, thing is, what it says that all the jivas have supreme knowledge at all times. Finished. Period. The knowledge of the wise man who is all light is never related to any object. Like in Buddhistic philosophy, they try to say these things. Gaudapada says, this is from actually Vedanta. All the jivas and the objects are unrelated, ever. Acharya Shankar quotes from scriptures to show that this idea has been there in the Upanishads all along. The essence is that Advaita Vedanta, this belongs only to Vedanta. This knowledge cannot be taken away by anyone else. And with that comes the last word, the prayer and the praise. Durdarshamati gambhiram ajam samyam vishardam buddhva padam nanatvam namaskurmo yathabalam. Having realized the knowledge of the supreme reality, which is hard to grasp. This knowledge is extremely hard to grasp, profound, birthless, the same throughout, all light and free from multiplicity. We salute it as best we can. It says, Atman and knowledge of Atman, they are one and the same. What's the characteristic of this knowledge? It's very hard to grasp, profound, it's birthless. That means this knowledge is always there. And the same throughout, there is samatva, equanimity, oneness, all light. There is no kind of ignorance, free from multiplicity. No multiplicity. It says, we salute it. We salute it as best we can. Namaskurmo yathavalam. The best that we can, the best way by which we can offer our salutations, we offer our salutations to this knowledge, this Atman. So, on that ends Mandukya Karika. It was wonderful being with all of you. And thank you so much for listening to the talk so patiently. And I'll request and I'll suggest that listen to these talks once again and again. Whenever you have time, listen. Mandukya Karika is considered to be one of the most difficult works of Vedanta. And by the grace of the Lord, for me, Lord Sri Ramakrishna, that I could complete it. And Yoga Shastra says, Satu Dirgha Kala Nairantarya, for a very long time, regularly. If you might remember, exactly at 4:30 on the scheduled day, we have been taking this class, unbroken. Unless, of course, when I fell ill. And you people have been listening. Greatest of sadhana that you have performed. With my deepest respects to all of you, here we end this subject. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishnar Pranamas.